welcome to all of you. We're very pleased to have you here and very pleased to be starting this new year. We always have lots of very exciting things going on here in West Valley and lots of progress. And I got to say, I've been here for 18 years now in 2 different positions. And one of the things that always amazes me about West Valley City and the things that we are able to accomplish from a progress standpoint are largely, maybe not entirely, maybe there's a little bit of credit that might go to the staff, maybe a little bit of credit to the business owners, you know, the people that help to build, buy, and invest in the city. But the elected officials that are here, and I have this same impression all the way back to 1997 when I first started here. All the councils and the mayors that they worked with have been extraordinarily unusual in their ability to work with each other, which is not to say they always agree. They don't always agree on positions, but they take the view and the long view of the city and what's best for the city always first. And even when they don't agree on a particular issue, even when the vote on any particular project or program might not be 7-0, they always work together. They always work together for that betterment, like I said, and for that greater goal of making our community, the one that we all live and work in here, a better city, and I applaud them for that. So, in addition to swearing in these 3 elected officials with the oath, we're also going to have the opportunity to hear some comments from them. And first we're going to start with Councilman Tom Hune. He is going to be starting his 2nd term in office here in 2016, this year as we're starting. And we will start with him to swear him in with the oath. Nicole will conduct that. We'll then hear a few comments from Tom. As soon as his remarks are finished, we'll move on to Councilwoman Karen Lang, who again is also serving her 2nd term and was first elected in 2012 and is going to be starting here again with us this year as well. After Karen has taken the oath of office, we'll then move on to Councilman Don Christensen, who is also starting his 2nd term by a little bit different path. So Don's got a little bit more tenure, from a time standpoint at least, than the others. His first term started in 2010, is that right? And he finished 1 full term, and then he took a brief hiatus and ran for council member last year and is now going to be joining us again for his 2nd term as a council member. We will hear some comments from Don as well, and then to close the remarks, we'll be honored to hear from our Mayor Ron Bigelow. And then as soon as that's finished, we will take our break and go on out to the lobby and enjoy each other's company and some refreshments. And so with that, I'm going to turn the time over to Ms. Kamek, who will now administer the oath of office to Mr. Tom Hune.
Yes.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor Ron Bigelow, Jordan Ward, Brother Miller, North Ranger Steak, Prison Road, South Ranger Steak, Prison Barker, and his wife, Diane Barker. All distinguished guests, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I begin with my thank and appreciation to my fans from far and near, and my supporters, my voters, and my family, exceptional wife, me, my sons, Carl and Kent. My daughter, Caroline, thank you so much for their support. I would also like to welcome our new council member, Don Christensen, this year, and I'm looking forward to working with him next 4 years. I appreciate the trust and confidence that the citizens in my district place in me. And I will continue to listen to them and to listen to my heart so I can represent them and I can act in their best interest and the best interest of our city. I believe our future of our city will be brighter and brighter because we have constituted city council and elected by you. I continue bringing an honest and open discussion of issues and on occasion unorthodox approach of problem solving. Thank you for being here this afternoon. And again, I sincerely want to thank to the citizens in my district that elected me for another term in West Valley City Council. I pledge to do my very best to represent them and to maintain their trust. Thank you.
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity. Thank you. I would just like to say what a privilege and honor it has been to serve the citizens of West Valley City this last 4 years. And I thank them for the confidence and they having me to serve the next 4 years. I do have to agree with Mr. Pyle. As a group, the mayor and the council does work as a group that works well together, and I'm very proud of that. And I don't think he gave staff and the employees of West Valley City enough credit. We do have great support and great staff that really works hard for the citizens of West Valley, and I'm very proud to represent West Valley. And thank you all for coming today.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity. It's quite a crowd. Too bad we don't have this many at council meetings. I think one of the last council meetings I did attend before not being reelected, I think we had 3 people there. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to those friends and relatives and supporters that have come on my behalf also. It's a great privilege to serve on City Council. Last summer, as I was working on my little hiatus project, I was asked to summarize my life's philosophy in 3 words. The 3 words that I finally came up with after a lot of pondering and thought was go and do. In May, I was challenged by friends and family to put that into effect and go and do. Get outside my comfort zone that I was in and run again for the City Council. Well, I was successful. I finally decided that I needed to do that, threw my hat in the ring and was elected. At this point, I pledge to the city staff, the residents, and the voters of West Valley City that I will continue to go and do and serve you for the next 4 years in the best possible way. Some decisions will not be pleasant, at least not for everyone. But I'll strive to make those difficult decisions with the best interests of the city in mind. Thank you.
I would mention one other person here. We have State Representative Cox with us, Fred Cox, who represents part of our city at the state legislature. And we're always pleased when we have other elected officials come and join with us. I think he's the only one, other than our local council members. Well, thank you for coming out today. It's always interesting to attend these and watch. We have 3 individuals this current time who put their names on the ballot. Isn't it interesting that those individuals who then end up serving are probably criticized many more times than they're ever thanked? If you've ever been to there's only a few of them. There are some people come to a few council meetings, but there's usually only 3 or 4 during the year. And typically they're not happy. Usually if people are happy, they don't show up. And when they're unhappy, they show up and they say all sorts of interesting things. So here you have individuals, and those 3, the other 4 of us who are serving on the council, have been willing to step forward and to serve. And there's reasons for that. First of all, these individuals care about our city, about our neighborhood. It makes a difference to them what is going on in our city. They believe that our city is more than just a place to live or to stop by. And they want to make a difference for the better in doing that. And so these individuals step forward. Now, there aren't a lot who are willing to do that. There are not a lot who are willing to stand in front of people and to make decisions and to make changes which affect people's lives. But these that you saw take this oath of office today have publicly stated that they are willing to do that. They are individuals, and they have a couple of roles. 2 of those I would mention is, one, that they speak for the people. They were elected by you and many other people here in West Valley. And so they are designated to be the spokesperson for those individuals. That is our Republican representative type of government. The democracy and the Democratic part comes in by everyone being able to vote and elect them. Everyone who wants to, I guess I should say. Not everyone wants to. So there are not a lot of people who are willing to come and speak for the people. And the other thing is that they are responsible to make decisions for the people. They speak for the people to represent here at the city, and then they represent here to speak to the people and make the decisions that will affect their neighborhoods. Well, since there are a few of you here who aren't serving in elected office, I thought I'd share a couple of thoughts with you. Know what's going on in your city. If you don't come to council meeting, that's fine, but occasionally look at the agenda. It's online. You can actually watch council meetings, even after the fact. They're all stored there out on the internet. And to some degree be involved. When there's an issue that concerns you, come and speak your mind. We have a process for doing that in an organized way during our council meeting in a very respectful way. But we have these great challenges with individuals in that many of the decisions we make affect your property. Now, there's 2 sides to a property issue, and one is the owner of the property who wants to do anything he would like, or her who would like to do anything they would like with their property. And then there's the impact of utilizing that right on the neighbors who live next door. And so as a result of that, in an effort to balance that, which is constantly changing, always fluctuating, and never makes everyone happy. But you have to balance those issues. And so these elected officials have that responsibility to say, no, you can't operate an egg farm on your residential property. You can have a couple of chickens, that's okay. You can have up to 4 actually, 4 pets. We call them pets. It's easier to describe everything under pets. But you can't operate something that would negatively impact your neighbors. You can't have 1,000 chickens in your backyard because it doesn't make sense. Now, there are a few places in the city that's zoned agricultural where that's a little different, but in a small subdivision lot. So this is an example of weighing those different options of what a person can do with their property versus how it will impact their neighbors. So those are the challenges that we have to look at. The other thing I would say to those of you who are not in office, keep your eyes open. The city council is 7 people among 134,000 people. We cannot, it is impossible to know what is going on in all parts of the city. We have a police department and we have approximately 200 officers. They cannot be on every street every day in the city. For a city to function, individuals, citizens, residents must participate, and their eyes and ears are essential for a safe, happy, and healthy city. And so we encourage you to not just keep your eyes open, but to let us know, or to let the police department know, or ordinance enforcement, or whatever is appropriate, or animal control when there are problems. So we have some challenges. One of our great challenges here in West Valley City is growth. We're still growing. We still have undeveloped land, I think they said 3,000 acres. Not all of that, most of it not being residential. But as soon as we fill up residential, you know what happens? We watch that in Salt Lake City. As soon as you fill out this way with subdivisions, then you start to build up. And you get more people in. So it will never end. But there are a couple of other challenges. One is funding services. Everyone says increase our services. We want more police, we want more amenities, we want more trails, we want more parks, we want more this and that. But all of those cost money. And consistently throughout surveys, when you ask people if they want the services, they all say yes. Then you ask them, would you be willing to raise your taxes to pay for it? And the answer is just the opposite, no. And so those on the council must take all of these needs and say, here's this pot of money, it only goes so far. Who gets it and where? And so they must make that decision to say, do we hire another officer on the police department? Do we build another park and maintain it? What do we do with this money? There are many, many desires, and there are many citizens who want us to spend that money in certain ways. We also are faced with unique demographics. West Valley City in Utah is unique in that it has a large population of what the federal government calls minority. Now, it's kind of a misnomer. It really doesn't make sense, but then the federal government usually doesn't make sense. So you can be a minority even if you've lived in the U.S. 4, 5, or 6 generations, and you happen to have a last name, a surname, that falls in a certain category. And it doesn't matter if, I guess technically I'm a minority. I had a great-grandmother who was Native American. And so I must live with that and be part of that as well. But some say that is a challenge. And I say to you, it is not a challenge. It is what America was built on. The strength of many cultures, many people, many different individuals coming together. And none of those differences will come anywhere even close to the differences that exist among those who have lived here for generations. And I would say the difference between a Utah fan and a BYU fan go much deeper than any culture or race or anything else. And if you don't believe that, just attend the games. Or live next to a rabid fan. So we have opportunities with that, an opportunity to grow, to foster businesses, to do many things that will make our city better. Well, I'll end with that. You know, many people, and if you haven't heard this before, I'm not going to tell you something new. I don't like to tell new things. I just re-emphasize old things. Some people have a negative perception of our city. Can you believe that? If you ask people in other areas of our state, they usually don't say positive comments because they don't live here. Those of us who live here and have spent a long time here know that we live in a great city. It's a very comfortable place to live. There are good neighbors. There are people that we enjoy associating with. And so that's the last thing I would say to you is, be an ambassador for your city. Tell other people the good things. If you can't think of some, call me up. We'll share some with you. There are some really neat things about our city. For the size of city that we are, the things that we have are great. They're meaningful. They're worthwhile. It's a good place to live. There are many things to do in our city, and you need to find out what those are. We have concerts and celebrations and events all over our city throughout the year. And most of those are free. And it's great to have those types of things available to us to participate in. So the council will work for you, and they will represent you, and they will make the decisions that they believe, based upon the information they have, what is best for this city. And they are sincere. Now, there are differences of opinion, but that's part of what makes it great. Our nation is built on the ability to have difference of opinion, different points of view, and do it and survive without bloodshed, without coups or revolutions, anything like that. We do it in an orderly process, and it has made this nation the strongest, greatest nation in the world for years to come. And contrary to what you're hearing in the news, we're still the economic engine of the world. We still drive most of the policy and events that occur worldwide. There was a saying among economists that whenever the U.S. economy sneezes, the rest of the world gets pneumonia, because it has such a profound impact on them. I believe the last I saw was approximately a quarter of the economic growth and development and gross national product was developed and is done right here in the U.S. for the whole world. So we have a great role to play, and it's great to be a part of it, and we encourage you to be a part of it. Be an ambassador, be a participant, be our eyes and ears, and help us to continue to improve and make this a great city to live in. And your council will work hard, very hard, to represent you and do the job that you have elected them to do. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor, and all of you, Tom, Karen, and Don. And with that, we'll invite everybody to meet out in the lobby and socialize for a minute. Thank you very much again for coming.